Astrology time, it's Wednesday, the 15th of July. So here we go. Our moon's in Leo, and it's going to be in Leo all day long, right? You know where you're at, and you know what you're here for. So let's talk about the big changes that are coming, okay? There are some very important aspects forming. There's sextiles all over the place, right? That are making these things called cradles. And there's trines that are there too, because when you get a bunch of sextiles lined up to make cradles, they form trines as well. 90 degrees versus 60 degrees, right? 60 degrees, 90 degrees, actually 90 degrees is square. Shane, 120 degrees. There you go. Two sextiles equals a trine. Oh boy, it's late. I didn't get much sleep last night either. So let's talk about this, okay? There are we talked about the aspects. Cradles that will protect and incubate our nascent endeavors. Okay, that's what some of those things are, right? Mercury is still retrograde, so the words can cause tears. And let me tell you that. Not because we are jerks, but because the moon and sun in Cancer make the tears flow more easily, especially for people with Cancer placements, right? If you know, right? So that's kind of an interesting one. The North Node is at 0 degrees Pisces. Oh, that's one of those key points, right? Yes, it is. And it will slip into Aquarius and Leo. So basically, we just spent our time in a Pisces Virgo axis, where the North Node and the North Node was in Pisces, South Node was in Virgo. Now we're going to be going North Node in Aquarius to South Node in Leo, the opposite sign. That's going to change some stuff up drastically for the next 18 months, okay? There cannot be change without a degree of pain. And the pain in here with that North Node, that pain is going to be karmic in nature. So the spiritual will have to make room for innovation, right? Yeah, it's going to have to. And for the secular, right? It's going to, if we go from a highly secular and spiritual Pisces into very logical and abstract thinking Aquarius, right? We've got some innovation going on there. But the other end of the spectrum is the Leo willpower, right? That will, that courage, that desire to be on top, to be the king of the forest, right? So, look, society will also change with the nodes. You can feel it, right? Especially with Pluto in Aquarius. Now, the old guard is fading, and globally things will begin to, guess what? Change. Why so much change in the energy fields? Why is there so much, right? Why is it? Why are we feeling it right now? Well, I don't know. Just like that stupid ad block just came up on my computer. Ugh. Okay, so anyway, pop-up windows. Can't stand it. All right, so look, here the spiritual will have to make room for the innovation, right? Society changing? Yes, we got that. Now, is it the Hadron Collider at CERN being powered down? Not really, okay? Changes in the energy fields are more, it's the power of change felt on a much larger scale, right? We have large scale change because it's not just a collider, guys. It's everybody. It's the collective, right? There's a word that you don't hear me use very much, but the collective is out there, and that's what's changing. It's us, right? We're looking inside. Mercury in Cancer retrograde, looking inside. What are we finding? What is it we're doing? What is it that we're looking for? Well, look, don't over scrutinize your situation. React to it in the purest and most centered way possible. In other words, go in. The divine is within all of us if we only shut up long enough to let it find us. Realizing this is profoundly difficult. The endings have been abrupt in some cases and quite literal. What seems like a major upheaval to some is just a step in the right direction for others. Think about that. This is why the energy feels so off, right? Because if we see somebody going through something, we can't really, but everybody's going through it. Everybody's going to be feeling this, right? Yeah, and it's a different kind of energy, and that's where the difficulty comes in, and that's where we're piecing it all together. Now, you better believe it. We'll get to all that stuff pretty soon, right? Here in New England, our skies are smoky from Canadian wildfires in Quebec. I had to make this thing like huge because my eyes just are burning from number one from being tired, and number two because that smoke, you can actually smell it outside and you can feel it in the air, and it's kind of getting to your eyes a little bit. Today, this Wednesday, is super creative if you decide to go down that road, okay? And today's keyword is challenged. We're being challenged, and let's rise to the occasion. And the color is an orange solar disk in a smoky sky. That's what the sun looked like tonight, or today. You may see pictures on your social media. Now, let's look at our themes, okay? First, we have an intuitive push that will strengthen us financially. That's Cancer season, right? Cancer season has been about home, security, nurturing, and legacy, right? There are some emotional decisions that need to be made, and we can't move forward if we don't leave anything behind. That's just not the way it works, right? We can't bring it all with us. We have to jettison what we don't need and then move forward. That's what that North Node, South Node's about. You get rid of the stuff at the South Node to make room to come into what's in the North Node, right? What we got to do. We got to get rid of the kings, right? The Leo type of things, that pride, that willpower, and find a way to make it innovative, find a way to make it eclectic, and use the ideas that Pluto in Aquarius is trying to bring forward, right? Yep, just another one. We've got a long time to work on that too. Okay, so let's see. There's some. Now, the next theme is creativity with no boundaries. What do you mean by that, Shane? Well, this is an outer planet pattern that forms the cradle. And today we find Jupiter in Leo asserting himself in conjunct with the ruler of Cancers. Now, Jupiter just joined this again, right? Last year we had Jupiter conjunct with Uranus for the same thing, right? So it was kind of electric, right? That expansion, it wasn't going to expand right away, and when it did, it would be, very, very sudden and very shocking. Well, now we have Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus all lined up again, but now 60 degrees away. Yes, 60 degrees away. Let's see. Yes, we do. Okay, 60 degrees away, we have Jupiter sitting there in Leo. So now with that, the fire and the air aspects all being represented, that gives us a chance to really, really just go and look. Today, Jupiter's going to be conjunct with the moon. So Jupiter's a lusty god and will immediately want the moon in a patriarchal and condescending way. That's not going to happen, right? No, it's not. Also in the mix, we have Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Mars is actually too far out to even be, it's not close enough to Uranus now. But well-executed plans over the next few months will be realized, beginning with with that point that we talked about yesterday, where Venus is in Virgo. And it's just going to go, from there to Scorpio, and then to Capricorn. Okay, so we're going to have 3 points there for growth for the coming season. So we just mark that in your mind. So we've got some things to look forward to in Virgo season, Scorpio season, and Capricorn season. All right. So don't sit still, though. Right. Look, if you find answers to your spiritual questions from inside, okay, those node shifting that I mentioned back before, that's going to be huge too. So find those answers right now before you go looking for the external signs, and don't sit still. Act and rise up to meet the challenge. Now, 0 degrees Pisces is a powerful place where our beliefs are being expressed, for better or for worse. What follows is the willpower of Leo with that knowledge of Aquarius, right? We're shedding that, right? We're shedding some of that will. We're shedding some of that regalness, that baggage that it can bring with it, the boasting, the exaggerations and things like that, those negative qualities of Leo. So we have to make sure that we know that, look, these are strong forces, right? I will versus versus what we think and the knowledge of what we know, right? I know. Look, giving up some of that control for greater knowledge and understanding is going to be with us for the next year and a half. Okay? So this is something that we're going to really be working with that Aquarian energy, because that's where the eclipses will start falling, right? In that Leo and Aquarius axis. Now, with that being said, the moon feels the creative urge, but she'll feel it of Jupiter, right? Because Jupiter is very creative, and Jupiter is in Leo, right? Balance the will of Leo with the vigorous energy of the real life and with real life obstacles, right? We have to work through those real life obstacles, because that's what's going to prevent us from, we have to make sure that we just don't run up into it, up against it, and then say, oh, I don't want to do that. We have to move forward with it, right? Now, at some point later, you're going to need to make a choice. Don't be seduced by the easy way out. Make sure you're scanning the ground before you act, because you never know where you're going to find your next opportunity, right? So in 1965, Leonard Bernstein premieres his Chichester Psalms for chorus and orchestra at the Philharmonic Hall in New York City. That was on this date in 1965. And our birth is Rembrandt von Rijn. He's born, Rijn, not Rijn, Rijn. 1606, he was born, and he died in 1669. He's one of those Dutch masters, the guys on the cigar cover. Look, he's a Golden Age painter, a printer, and a draftsman. He did the Night Watch. He's famous for that. He's born in Leiden in the Netherlands, and that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I cannot believe how popular yesterday's episode was. Can only hope to replicate it. Don't know if that's going to happen, but it's been pretty good for the last couple of days. We're talking thousands of impressions, right? And it's all because of you guys liking and sharing and doing the things and commenting. Had a bunch of birthday comments yesterday about folks who had birthdays in July. I like that. I love wishing you a happy birthday. We need more of it, right? If you got a birthday in July, shout it out, right? Doesn't matter if it was the beginning of July or towards the end of July. Let's get them shouted out a little bit, okay? Let's recap, shall we? Our keyword is challenged, because everybody's feeling challenged, right? It feels like a challenging time, but it's not. It's just the changes that are coming, right? And without the change, there's no pain, no gain, right? That's one of those things. And our color is that orange sun in that smoky sky. It's the sun, but it's orange because it was obscured by smoke. And that's all I have for you. Today's a 5. Happy astrocatting.